I've muted everyone's microphone. Seems we're getting some feedback, but if you guys have any questions, we'll unmute everybody at the end and we can ask some questions. So if you give us about 2 or 3 more minutes, and we'll get started.
Sure. Yeah, you can just.
All right.
Hi, everybody. This is Gideon, and I just want to get started with the webinar. I think people will be jumping on board, but we are recording this session so that we could have it available for other people that are not able to join us this very minute. So, is everybody able to hear me?
Not very well.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me see. Is it too loud or too soft or what?
Soft.
Too soft. Okay, great. Hold on one second. Let me see here. Okay, is this better now? I'll try to speak louder as well. We're using an external speaker, microphone speaker, basically. Can you hear it better now?
It's still a little low, but maybe it's my computer.
Okay.
Maybe I can plug in some different speakers here.
Okay. Great. So we'll just go ahead and get started with our webinar for today. I think as everybody, the whole industry, the lodging industry, the hotel industry, the B&B inns, everybody's talking about the OTAs, the online travel agencies, and that's what our focus is today, and how to really make use of the Booking.com and Expedia, especially these two main players in the market. Just to give you a little bit of brief history about these OTAs, if you looked at the article that we had sent on the link, that kind of gives you a brief update of kind of where things started and how things have come up to this today. You would see the basic metamorphosis of just this this whole this third party booking sites becoming who they are today. If you look at the value of Booking.com, Booking.com is valued at $98 billion. It's bigger than any hotel chain. Expedia, I think, is valued at $48 billion. So it's just like a huge. They've become humongous companies. But what started out? They started out, of course, just charging about 5% per reservations, and then, of course, in the early 2000, when especially in the United States, when things hit with the 9/11, that's when a lot of hoteliers relied on these OTA websites to fill their rooms, and that kind of they thought that's going to come down after a while, but that kind of kept on increasing, and of course the commission percentage also kept on increasing. Booking.com, which has become the largest player in the market, really is out of Netherlands. They're a Dutch company, but they have a huge worldwide presence. They came in actually a little bit later into the United States, but they have a humongous presence worldwide. And actually, Priceline.com acquired Booking.com, and basically now Priceline name is changed to Booking.com. So that's kind of the history of Booking.com. But Expedia, actually, interestingly, was started by Microsoft. I think very few people know that, but it was like early. I'm not sure exactly. I need to look at the dates. But they were started as a Microsoft company and spun off and went public. But they're probably the biggest player in the United States. They are pretty sophisticated in terms of technology wise. And Booking.com has had a large footprint in Europe and Asia, but in the last few years, of course, they've consolidated their hold in the United States. So these two, Booking.com and Expedia, they both are responsible for over 95% or close to 95% of the total bookings coming online. So when I say Booking.com Expedia, it's not just their own website, but like Booking.com owns like other websites like Priceline.com and Orbitz. Similarly, Expedia owns Hotwire, Hotels.com, Trivago, all these guys under that umbrella. So, but of course, they all are under this one umbrella or chain of Booking.com and Expedia. So how do we play in, how do the hoteliers, how do we make use of them, has been a very interesting topic in the last few years. There's been the latest article that we sent out talks about how how it's they're basically, the hoteliers are trying to, I mean, it's okay when it was 5-10%, now it's up to like 15 to 25%. So there's it's a huge tug of war. But how to make best use of the Booking.com and Expedia is what we want to talk about today, and also how our system, Easy Innkeeping, is able to push data and make things seamless and easy. How we can mark up prices, how we can easily make use of our software to take advantage of the features that Booking.com and Expedia provide. And also the thing that we want to we'll be rolling out more things in the future, is how can we slowly start moving away from the dependence of the OTAs, because that's what's happening with all the big chains like Hilton's and the Marriott's. They basically have these programs which are loyalty programs, and basically providing incentives for peaking people booking on their own websites. There's a rate parity issues there, but of course we can provide lower rates on our booking engine sites, as long as those are guests that have stayed in the property, or you have sent them promotional information, or friends, things like that. So we'll keep working on those, and we already have some things in our existing software to be able to do that. So I'm going to hand it over to. Is there any questions in terms of kind of? I'm just giving you like a high level view of what's happening in the industry as a whole. Bobby's going to jump in more into the details of it, and he's going to take us through the actual working of how we can set up things and how we can mark up rates and things like that. Is there any questions for me right now before we dig into the actual nitty gritty of the product itself? You can speak up if we have everybody unmuted, so if you want to say something, you can speak. Otherwise, we'll move on. Any questions? Okay, so I'm gonna is everybody able to hear me well? Are they hearing us?
Huh?
Really?
I unmuted everybody. So
We can hear you, yes.
oh, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can hear us. All right. Can you go ahead? Go ahead. Was that a question?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So I'm going to just hand it over to Bobby. He's going to take us through more of the details.
All right. So the screen that we're looking at, everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in Easy Innkeeping, if you're looking at your calendar, right, and you click the drop down, let me go back to the regular calendar. If you click this drop down and put this on OTA calendar, this gives you an overview of what you're sending to the OTAs. What the calendar on Expedia Partner Central and the calendar on Booking.com Extranet should match this calendar here. This gives you it tells you what rate you're charging, how many, the 0 here is the rooms available, that's the rate that it's charging. And then if you have any minimum night requirements, it'll show it here, right? You can also do an open and close order. Like if you know that you're gonna sell out one room type for that weekend and you want to close it to avoid overbookings, you can do that from here. We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah, let's
So the OTA calendar, you can actually, they wanted me to point out that you can sort this by the types. So if you wanted to look at just the rooms you're selling on Expedia, you put this drop down on Expedia room type, or Booking.com room types, or all. This will reflect your seasonal rates. If you have any seasonal rates created in the rate setup, this will show you what rates are in effect for this day. If there are no seasonal rates in effect, then it's going to show you the default rate. But if you do have seasonal rates, those are reflected and they are communicated when you do your rate push. Let me switch over just real quickly and show you the same calendar on Booking.com. So we're looking at roughly roughly the same time frame. Is everyone pretty familiar with the Booking.com extranet interface and the Expedia Partner Central interface? Pretty familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you're looking at what you're seeing here should match what you're seeing in Easy Innkeeping. You can always contact support if it's not, but unless something is wrong somewhere, you're going to be seeing the same availability. You're going to be seeing the same rates from one to the other, right? And then here is the same thing on Expedia. And you can kind of, we recommend that from time to time you do a spot check just to make sure everything is matching up. It never hurts to check. And you want that way if anything should come about like a failed reservation or a overbooking, then it won't be a surprise to you because you're on top of everything. It's not a question of just plugging it in and just letting it manage itself. You do need to give it attention from time to time. We do have also, I would imagine everybody's fairly familiar with the GDS log from Easy Innkeeping. Let me show you that real quick. Anytime you get a booking, anytime a booking is changed, modified by the guest on the Booking.com or Expedia side, or anytime one is canceled, the GDS log will reflect that. You'll see a little red number up here in the thing, and you can then go. Whenever you see that little red number by the GDS ball, you know that something needs your attention, that you need to look at, to see. This is another way you can stay on top of, in the case one fails, there's none here at the time, but from time to time there is going to be a download failure. It's unavoidable. It's just the nature of the beast. One every few days is not cause for concern. 3 in a day, that is cause for concern, and I need you to call me in that event. But
just to jump in here, this is Gideon. Also, like Expedia, last week they had 3 different outages, and so they send us information. But anytime there's an outage on Expedia side, of course, then there's going to be some delay in that, reservations dropping in. But as long as there's an outage, they automatically send you, and Bobby will go through that as well, but they'll send you a fax or email, whatever that's been agreed upon.
yeah,
But that's been, we've seen, we had a 20-hour outage with Expedia about a month back. Was that about less than a month back? So that was kind of a cause for concern. At that point, pretty much, that's affecting everybody that's on Expedia. So those are a few things that we need to be aware of in terms of having making use of these OTAs.
Okay. So that's kind of an overview of that. Does anybody have any questions about what we've on the calendars and how to check and do verify that everything's matching? Okay. So I do want to show you our markup feature, because Expedia and Booking.com both charge a commission on every booking they send. I think it's typically about 15%, isn't it? So if you'll notice these rates, if you can see here, these rates look a little bit, 192.86 is not, and 357.15. We do give you the ability to mark your rates up to accommodate the extra 15% you're paying to them. If you come here under rate setup in the Easy Innkeeping setup screen, this can apply also to regular rates and to seasonal rates. We'll just take this. We'll take this first one as an example, And down here, do you see the channel manager markup? This property has it set to 15%. I do have properties that mark it up a little higher. But you have to be careful about this, because if Expedia and Booking.com are both constantly monitoring to
Each
make
other.
sure that you're not advertising different rates in different places. So if you have whatever rate you're advertising on Expedia, it has to be the same thing on Booking.com, or they'll call you. They lose their minds over this. The thing about that is, now when you mark up through here 15%, Easy Web Res, our booking engine, is going to have this rate. Not going to have the same rate that Expedia and Booking.com. This is what Gideon was mentioning about, as long as you make sure to tell them that you're offering it for your returning guests, then you should be good. They do tend to watch each other more so than they watch the booking engine, but they will see it on the booking engine as well. So you kind of have to be careful about and not go overboard with how much you're marking it up on their sites, right? So when you decide to mark this up 15%, then you just would go and do a push of rates and availability. So like for example, Beach Rose. Let's look and make sure that there's not any seasonal rates. Give me a minute. I just want to make sure we're looking at the right dates and the right prices for the right dates. So Beach Rose. Come on. So she has, so let's just use, so her rates don't kick in until June. So that's okay. So we should be seeing a 168 rate. Just to make sure.
Plus 15%.
Plus 15%. So for Beach Rose, when we look at the OTA calendar again, 168 plus 15%. And then we could look at, come over to,
Beach Rose.
here's Beach Rose on Booking.com.
168 for 15%, huh?
Mm-hmm. Give it a minute to load. It's not the fastest loading thing in the world, as I'm sure you've all noted.
193.20.
193.20. So that's 168 plus 15%.
Exactly. That's right.
Right? You see that? Expedia. We'll look at the same thing. We find Beach Rose, which she doesn't appear to be selling it on Expedia, so that's okay. But we see that the markup works when we look here. Right? You should also see the exact same thing when we look at the OTA calendar. See, it's showing you the regular 168 here. Oh no, that was Booking.com. Shouldn't this show the markup? Oh no, it's going to show you the regular rate.
Yeah, I think so.
This does not show you the channel manager markup. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it did. Okay.
I thought it did too. Anyway, learn something new every day. Right? So anyway, so we kind of want to go back to the seasonal rates for a second, because there is something important I need to impart to you about the seasonal rates. Everyone's familiar with how we do the pushes, right, to the Booking.com and to Expedia. When we do our pushes of rates, you'd ask for a start date and an end date, and we always want to make sure that this is you want, if you can do a year, it's better to do a year, but you never ever want to push for 2 weeks or a month or something, a short time frame. You always want to do at least several months.
You keep doing it again and again. But
Yeah, I mean, even if you go change the rate for 1 day, you still want to go do a push for. It's better, like I said, it's better to do a year at a time. But the thing that I really need to make note of is that this end date on your push, if it falls in the middle of a seasonal rate, that seasonal rate will not be reflected on the OTA side. So, like for example, if your seasonal rate runs up to April 19th and you push till April 18th, it's not going to reflect that seasonal rate. you would have to go adjust the timing of the seasonal rate and then do your push. And you can change it back if you want. That won't affect the OTAs because the rates are never automatically updated, only when you push. But make note that if a seasonal rate, you want your end date to fall outside of all, you don't want a seasonal rate to be in the middle of a thing. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So let's talk briefly about opening and closing rooms.
Did somebody have a question on that one?
I hear somebody unmuted themselves.
We do. Go ahead, that's what we've been asking.
So, Megan, are you there?
Can Megan hear us?
Anyway, we're a beach property that has a lot of different rate categories, and weekends are higher. So I'm a little confused with the push thing. Where you're saying
So whatever you have in your rate setup, it's going to push that. So like if you have a weekend surcharge, let me just show you. I think this property does have a weekend surcharge. So
yeah, we do.
I mean the one we're looking at. No, they don't. Okay,
Oh.
so but if you have a $20, if you have it $20 higher on weekends and you're using the weekend surcharge in our rate setup, it will reflect that.
Okay.
So
As long as
As long
Innkeeping it.
as long as in easy Innkeeping you have the weekend surcharge set up, we're going to push everything that's exactly on the weekend, exactly like it is in the weekend. So if the weekdays are 172 and then you have a $20 additional on the weekends, that'll be 192. So that'll push exactly like you have set up on the in easy Innkeeping in the rate setup.
And then since we're very seasonal, we do have rates that change like every couple weeks. So
Yep.
you're saying that's a problem?
No. It's not a problem at all. All you have to do is make sure that when your end date of your push, and pushing rates is not something you're going to have to do all the time. You just get them set, you push them, and then as long as
Or you are, as long as you're changing the rates, when you're changing the rates, of course you're sending you need to push them, right? Because the rates are pushed by you manually, not automatic. The availability, everything else closed, and all this other things goes automatically. So every time you're changing your rates, of course you want to do a push. But the
I see.
only thing is we're saying when you're pushing the rates, make sure that your start date and end date are a year ahead or beyond, like it doesn't fall in the middle of a seasonal rate.
Okay, I gotcha.
yeah, if you have a season like in the example I was showing, if you have a seasonal rate that ends on the 19th and you're trying to push to the 18th, that one seasonal rate won't reflect. You'll want to go edit its end date to be the 18th.
So
Yeah, I'm the marketing person, so I'm stupid when it comes to this. I'm not the one actually doing it.
Well,
I'm sure our manager understands.
so just the dates have to I mean the best thing is to, of course, just to always, even if you're pushing it every week, we do have people that are pushing it every day, so that's not a problem. You just need to make sure that your dates that you're pushing for, just keep it outside, as like a year out, like normally just we ask everybody like push it a year at a time. But of course
Okay.
you're going to be changing, even if you're changing every week, that doesn't matter.
still want to push a year.
Yeah. Because what
Gotcha.
happens, there's just internally, the rate structure, when it's falling in the middle of a season, it does not kind of, just kind of, throws up error in terms of like, how we communicate with Expedia and Booking.com.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So let's talk briefly about opening and closing rooms, because that is something you're gonna probably need to do from time to time. So we go back to our OTA calendar. And then what you do is you just find a white space. It doesn't matter what day, it doesn't matter what room, because you're going to be able to select all of that in the open close setup. You just find a white space and right click on it. Open close rooms. Everyone see this? Right? We recommend that you do them one at a time. So let's do booking.com first. Then you go by room type. You set your date range that you want to close it for. If you're closing it only for a couple of days, you check those days. If you're closing it for like a week or a couple weeks or something, you just check all days, right? But you do want to be accurate. So if you're closing for a Friday and Saturday, you definitely want to check Friday and Saturday. You want this part to be accurate. Whatever days you're closing, you definitely want to do this. Have the dates and the days, right? And then when you save it, I actually don't want to. So when you save it, it'll put it down here in the list, and it will automatically send that close order to the OTAs. Previously, you had to go push availability once you got all this set up. That's no longer the case. It was as soon as you save the close order, it will close it. You don't have to push. Questions about that?
So you don't have to repush, you can just close.
That's correct. As soon as you hit this save button, that's why I'm not doing it because I don't want to close her room off. This is a live property. But yeah, so as soon as you save it, it'll go close that room on booking.com. Right? And you just go one by one. As soon as you're done with booking.com, then you'll do Expedia. If you use SiteMind, just do one OTA at a time. It has the ability to do both, but they don't recommend you use it. They recommend you just do them one at a time so that no confusion comes in anywhere. Right?
Okay.
So if you know, for example, that a particular weekend you're going to be full, that you're going to sell out without any problems, and don't really need any bookings coming in from the OTAs, then go close that weekend on the OTAs so that no overbookings occur. The updates to availability are not instantaneous. They take 3 to 5 minutes to happen. So if someone comes in and books on your booking engine a particular room, that there's only one available, and then someone goes on Expedia and books the same room at the same time, the 3 to 5 they haven't had that 3 to 5 minutes delay to get the availability update, so it's going to result in an overbooking. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the cost of doing business.
It's really it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. We see that.
Yeah.
We saw a booking that came in just a couple days back. We looked at the timing. There was an overbooking, and it was like about exactly 3 minutes. Between somebody took a reservation on the phone versus something that came on the I think Expedia was like a 3 minute. So we're looking at a 3 minute window, and it's I mean it doesn't matter who you're working with, any vendor like us that does channel management, that does directly connects with these OTAs. We are facing these issues, because of just because Expedia and Booking.com is so big. They have 1,007,500 sites on Booking.com.
Yeah.
1.7 million properties on their Booking, and so they're sending data back and forth. I mean, they are very very good, very fast, but at the same time, it's like a 2 to 3 minutes. So we have like a 3 minute lag time in between. What we are sending, what we're getting back from them.
So it only makes sense just to close out when you're starting to look like you're going to fill.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
like if you're 100%, I would just keep it at 90%, just to. But some people, all they do, we have people that never use, it's everything. Everything is automated, so they don't want to touch the system, And we run into some issues like that, like especially this one we just looked at last week. It was like a 3 minute delay in between, and boom, it just happened to be so close.
So I'm opening up a different property, one that gets a lot of OTA bookings, and I kind of because we're going to talk about the notifications that you get when a booking comes. This is one of our properties in Florida called Golden Host.
Or they also, I mean, I want you to be thinking of as we are just before we finish, we want to give you a few minutes to ask questions. Also, any pain points from your end, like any issues that you're finding in terms of dealing with these OTAs. We are, regularly, talking to different vendors, and even yesterday I was talking. We had a conference call with another company, so we're talking to different groups that are doing these, working with latest OTS that's out there. But if you have any issues in terms of what you're dealing with, just be thinking about it so we can talk. We can get some of your feedback. We have direct relationships with Expedia and Booking.com in terms of from a reseller standpoint, from a partner standpoint, so we can definitely also bring it up to them. So
Waiting for this thing to load.
okay, I think connection is lost. We lose something. Can you hear us? We lose. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we're just having trouble with our connection here. Megan, can you hear us? No, we lost her. Hello.
This is connecting.
It's connecting. So I think the net must have gone. Check your net connection status.
I did. It's still good. Connection lost. Please check your connection.
Hello, can you hear us? No.
Not connected to audio. It says reconnecting.
Okay, let me check.
There we go.
Okay.
We had some difficulties with our audio. I think our internet connection had a hiccup. All right. So
Just make sure they can hear us.
can everybody hear us?
Yes, we're back with you.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yes,
So
back.
this is
Just a quick question on that closing opening rooms.
yes, ma'am. Okay.
Are there some properties that will just open it up to Booking.com and Expedia like for certain seasons?
Sure. You mean like a seasonal property that's only open for a few months out of the year?
No, she's saying.
Or you said
Either that or like times when they're not, high occupancy.
Yeah, normally, that's kind of what, when we first started doing OTAs, that's our biggest recommendations. We said don't use them on weekends, use them during the weekdays. So we have that option. You can set up a time frame and just close during the weekdays. But of course, now the dependence on OTAs have become so much, like properties are depending on OTAs like all the time. So that is not as it is used to be. I'm thinking 5 years back, that's how we would tell customers saying don't use them all the time because of course you're paying such a huge percentage of your for commissions. But as of today, what I see properties doing is they have it on all the time, and so that's just and of course the system needs to handle it. So that's kind of what we are from our standpoint. That's what we are doing. We like to figure out how can we handle it, to make the lag times in between reservations as little as possible.
mm-hmm.
So answering your question, yes, you can do that, but we don't see it as what we used to see 4 or 5 years back. Now it looks like everybody's on all the time.
Yeah.
Is that true with anybody else? Is that what I'm saying? Is that true? Anyone? Can you hear us? Megan and Betsy, can you guys hear us?
Yes, I'm here. I just didn't really have a comment.
I keep muting mine.
Does that seem to be true from your experience for what he was saying?
Megan?
Sorry, could you repeat the question one more time? I'm kind of between reservations and watching the webinar. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was saying, go ahead, man. No, what I was saying was, the question that was raised was, do we see rooms being shut off during certain seasons of the time, and other times always open and sometimes closed? But what I was just saying that is we don't see that as used to be. Like in 5 years back, people would shut down the rooms on Booking.com Expedia during the weekends. They would only have it open during the weekdays. But we don't see that level of changes on the property side. We're seeing most of the properties are having everything open all the time except very special weekends. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely use the OTAs as much as possible. And unless we're getting to a point where we're selling out, then we'll close out. But as far as in advance, we have everything open unless we know a certain room type is closed in the off season or it's not available at all. Then we take it out of the inventory. But as long as we know it's available and we're trying to sell it directly, we'll give it to the OTAs at, and again, if we start to sell out, then we will close that. But as far as only opening up weekdays and not weekends, that we haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
The demand on OTAs is just so high.
Yeah, exactly.
People are going there.
And see, that's exactly what we're talking about being proactive with the management of the thing. If you know you're about to sell out, go close it on the OTA side. Exactly what Megan was just saying, so that you do avoid those overbookings. Another strategy that some properties will use to avoid overbookings is if they'll hold some rooms in reserve. They won't put every single room available on the OTA side. It'll still be available from the PMS, the calendar, and still be available from the booking engine, but won't be available on the OTA side, so that you have a place to put an overbooking if one should occur. But okay, so any other questions on the open and close and inventory management?
Nope.
Okay. So let me show you we touched on the GDS log briefly. We want to talk a little bit about how you get notified when a booking comes in. This is your best friend right here, this GDS log that we provide. You see how it's got this red 7? So there have, since the last time they came in here, there were 7 either, you got your cancellations, you got the reservation when the booking is made. Here's one down here that was modified, so the guest went in and made some change on the Booking.com side. Trying to look for a failure so you can see and everybody knows what the failures look like. I don't see any failures in here. That's a really good sign. Because I know this particular property is very busy. They get a lot of OTA traffic, and so to see a log that looks like this with 0 failures in it is a good sign. But this is one thing. So when you see the little number, when you see the little red number, always come in here just to check, to, like Megan was talking about, be proactive about what's going on. Because if you see one in here in the log that says download failure, that means the booking was completed on the OTA side, but not in easy Innkeeping. So there's something you need to go, that needs your attention to log into whatever OTA it came from. Go log into that Partner Central or Extranet and look for this booking ID number and see what they tried to book, and you can contact me and then we can go through it together and see how it failed, why it failed. Usually it'll tell you, no availability or something like that. And in that case, it's what we were talking about. Somebody booked it online at the same time they tried to book it on the OTA or something like that.
I have a kind of an unrelated question, but do you have any idea how many cancellations, what's the average percentage of cancellations that a hotel should receive?
Oh, that there's just too many variables to give you a good answer on that. I mean, it kind of depends on the region. It kind of depends on, how many hotels are available, how much, if there's like a price war going on between all those hotels. There's a lot of reasons for cancellations. Life happens. So, people have to change their plans, or they run across, they've booked a room and they run across a better deal at another property. There are so many variables there. I can't really give a.
One thing, just one thing we've heard, or at least I've heard, they say there are more cancellations on Booking.com versus Expedia. I don't know if that's the case with everyone, but I've heard.
Definitely.
Well, you see a lot of cancellations. See, I'm pointing at my screen just like y'all can see my finger. But
look at that cancel.
if you look at this list here, you see a lot of
cancel.
Yeah, that's why I had the question. I didn't know if there was like an industry standard.
Yeah, we can look at it. I'll see if there's anything on that no cancellation. Let me take a look at that one. But what we definitely see is Booking.com. There's more cancellation Booking.com versus Expedia, partly because of the payment strategy, the way they do the payments. Maybe we can jump into that one. Of course, with the Expedia, you're getting the virtual cards, so you are, the payment is already processed by Expedia, versus Booking.com is sending you the actual credit cards down to the property to process. So I think that might be one of the main reasons. Right now, Booking.com is looking into virtual payments as well. They have already rolled it out for some regions, I believe. So they want to kind of do the same model that Expedia is doing. I don't know if there's any experience on any of you have a different experiences on how the payments are being made.
No, I'm in agreement. Booking.com has an incredibly high rate of cancellations compared to Expedia.
Right.
And we think sometimes we even have bad credit card numbers that's on Booking.com that we end up having to deal.
Yeah, they don't verify it, so they can put in an invalid card, and then if they don't update it, then it's a cancellation just because that's how they booked it initially with a card that didn't have any funds on it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we see that quite often as well, and but I think Booking.com is going to do the same. They're rolling out this virtual card payment just like Expedia does. I think that will reduce the cancellations, I believe, because they like Expedia charges them the very minute that you put in your credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, I think will definitely come down, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yep. Okay. So if in the event that a reservation fails to download into Easy Innkeeping, then the OTA will contact you. They'll either send an email or a fax, depending on what you've agreed to with them. I think whether it's an email or a fax can be changed in your account settings, most likely. But for the most part, as far as notifications of something, traffic on the OTA side, your GDS log is your best friend. This little guy is your best friend. We also really want to really quickly kind of talk about the reservations list. We do give you the ability, if you just want to quickly see all the Expedia reservations, you just come into your reservations list, click on the reservation bell, click on Expedia Quick Connect, and click Find. This will show you all of the Expedia reservations made in the last 30 days. See there? Actually, that looks a little more like, more than 30 days worth. But then you can also do the same thing for Booking.com reservations. You can do the same thing for WebRes, Easy WebRes reservations. And they all have their own little unique icon. So the Easy WebRes is the little E that you see here. Then Booking.com will have the B, and then Expedia will have the little airplane logo that they use. See that one? So if you can tell just at a glance where the bookings came from. If there's no icon here at all, whether it be the B, the Expedia one, or the E for Easy WebRes, if there's no icon at all, that means it's a manually entered reservation.
Okay, report. Report.
Okay, that's that. Video showed that. Okay, so we do have an OTA reservation report as well. that will pull that information you were just looking at. It'll pull it in here. So under analysis, you go to reports, click on the reports icon at the top. You go to analysis, and here's reservations through OTA. And then you can do today, this week, this month, this year, or you can enter a date range. So that's just for these.
That's too much though. Just do this week.
Is this unique to the upgrade?
No.
No, this has been there, but we did some fixes on them though.
If you want to filter it, you could do that. If you want to just look at the Easy Web reservations or the Expedia reservations or Booking.com reservations, you can do that, or you can just do all. And then when you hit display result, you will get your data. So it'll give you the Easy Innkeeping reservation ID. It'll give you the OTA reservation ID. It'll give you the guest name, their address, their city, all their pertinent information, phone number, when they're coming, when they're leaving, what room they booked, how much it charged them, how much it was after taxes, and how much they paid, then how much they owe you, what status. You got any comments that the guest has entered in the booking, how many rooms they booked, how many people came, where the thing came from, and the date it was booked on.
This would be useful when you're paying your commissions, so you want to just double check your commission, when you're getting the, billing from Booking.com, so you can just double check, make sure it's all in sync with your report.
Yep. Questions about the report? All right.
So I think that's pretty much what we have planned for today. We want to just maybe ask any questions or user experience. In terms of what y'all's experiences with with Booking.com, Expedia, and what are the other channels you are using? We just recently tied up with another company called SiteMinder. Are you guys familiar with SiteMinder?
No.
Okay, SiteMinder, they connect, the reason we kind of, these are channel managers, so they can, connect with multiple. SiteMinder has like, 250 channels or something like that. But we see 95% of all the bookings coming through Expedia, Booking.com. The only ones that we feel that we are working on correct right now is Airbnb and VRBO. Those are the two ones that are on our radar to actually wrap up probably in this next coming quarter, but SiteMinder does connect with a lot of channels that are out there that are if you're getting like some why not just people use like I'm trying to think of hotels tonight. There's one called Hotels Tonight. Sea Trip from China. That's a huge provider in China. Almost 90% of all their reservations in China comes to Sea Trip. So if you have any unique kind of OTAs that you like to be on, then we use these SiteMinder as another channel which connects to like almost 250 different channels. So that's a possibility if you feel like there's a few reservations here and there. But what we see as an overall big picture, we see Booking.com, Expedia being very competitive, in all the markets. The areas that they really are lacking are Airbnb and VRBO, and that's the area that we are actually working on currently to have an interface with the VRBO and Airbnb as well. So we'll probably have that pretty soon. That was recently added in our new update. We also added another thing, another processor, credit card processor called Stripe. A lot of people are moving to Stripe because there is no monthly fees. It's just like pay as you go type of thing. So that's another update we did with our last update. In terms of Booking.com, Expedia, and any OTA experience, is there any other experiences or problems, issues that you want to bring up that we can at least just know about and work on, or just for us to gain some experience through your through your hotels?
What's
the difference between single direct connect and dual direct connect?
Single is either Booking.com or Expedia. Dual is both.
Okay.
Yeah.
No other
Any other questions?
questions or concerns or?
So it's 30 per company per month.
We just got the owner here. This is Betsy, and he's just thinking about the cost of it, and
Mhm.
so it's like they have a chart here.
Oh, you're looking at our pricing page?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if I believe you guys are on our advanced plan, if I'm remembering correctly, because I know Megan and I had been talking about moving you guys to the premium package. Premium includes that. So basically, for an extra $50 a month, it would
60.
if you stay on advanced and want both OTAs, it's going to be $60 a month. If you pick our premium package, it would be basically an extra $50 a month. You would get both of those plus some extra features that we have.
So we should go on the premium.
Yeah, I would say so, because that way it not only saves you $10 a month, but you also would get the added premium features such as e-signature, which is probably one of our more powerful premium features, where you can actually get the guest signature on your policy letter or the invoice, or something saying I agree to the charges, I agree to your policies, and they have their actual signature on it. There's two components to that. You can get a signature pad and have them sign it right there in front of you, or you can email it to them and have them sign it with like their mouse or their finger on a tablet or whatever. Then when that comes back to you, that'll be on the history tab of the reservation. So if they come back saying, they dispute the charges or whatever and say, I didn't know about it or I wasn't there, well, yeah, you did. Here it is. Here's your signature on the policy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That might help prevent cancellations too, willy-nilly cancellations.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if they sign it, sign something saying we're going to charge you $100 if you cancel and within a certain time frame, then they can't dispute that because they've signed it saying they agree to it.
Great. Any other questions, guys? Anything else that we can just learn from each other?
I try to help out with the marketing. This is Betsy again for the
Okay.
Burgundy and their properties. So are you guys planning on maybe doing some sprucing up of, like, 'cause we have your easy web on our own website so people can make direct bookings, and I honestly find it very cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that actually is coming. We're coming out with a new version of Easy
We can
Reference.
take a look at what you have right now, but we have the thing is we did last month we did another webinar on booking engine, but we have released like 2-3 different new layouts, and also we are currently working on a new template. Basically it's a completely brand new from scratch. We're doing a brand new system basically.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's just little things like the book it button is way over on the other side of the page and stuff like that. I think it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, let's take a look at it even now, so we'll take a look at it and see, because we added a new template version, I think it was called layer 20, I think, so we can take a look at that. This is the website?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
This is V2. Y'all were the ones that were on V1, correct?
No, I think they're...
Yes, and I still need the code for V2.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that before.
Oh yeah, no,
And
V1
we
is
tried
really,
to-
really old.
and we tried to change you guys to V2, and something went wrong. You were getting errors, as I recall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll work on that one. Yeah, definitely. No, I think you guys are kind of V1 is basically we're moving everybody from V1 to V2 or V3, so V3 is the one that's on in process right now. But
They're the ones that initiated that next button down here by
okay.
the thing. But it only got put in V2. It didn't get put in V1. So
We're moving everybody from V1 though. So definitely we'll take this as an action item and work on this right away. We have a I think you're using a custom header though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
So we don't need to be updating any code on our end to be using the V2 or have our guests be able to access the V2?
No, I
No,
don't.
it's just, can you go back to their website? Can you just, let's go to their website.
This is V. Oh,
No, go to the website.
itself.
Yeah. No, they would need to though.
Well, yeah. So let's see
Okay.
what you've got.
So,
this
okay,
is-
click on make a reservation. Yep, click on that one. Book direct and save 15%. Okay.
That's a good idea right there. Oh,
So they have a widget.
so
No?
y'all have a widget.
Put that in.
That's why. Okay, so
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's probably what it was. Okay.
pretty neat widget though. Oh, okay. So they're actually. This is still on their site. So it looks
Kind
like
of slow too.
their booking engine. Now it's coming to the booking engine.
Okay. This is V1 actually.
Yeah, this is V1.
Okay, come down. Okay.
So their widget did a search, availability search.
Okay. And then
See, it's so ridiculous that people have to scroll through all of our rooms.
Well,
okay.
you can change it to room type.
Yeah.
To where all they see is the room types.
How do we change that?
Don't see the individual units. Now, doing so will change your calendar view as well. They're
Yeah, that's the problem.
But see, so let's
So you'd like to see it by the room type instead of room view?
Yeah, we don't need every single unit
Correct,
listed.
correct,
okay.
Room-
Well, we do on the back end. We just for our guests, they don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna actually